Hello, everybody, again. My name is Mike. This is my second YouTube video. And today we're going to be looking at the world's largest vinyl record collection of a single title. Now, you're looking at the Beatles, of course, Magical Mystery Tour, but that's not the album we're talking about. When I tell you the album or show you the album, some of you may run screaming into the night that you really don't want to see this, but if you have any fascination in the subject, stick around. I think you'll be surprised. Again, this is the world's largest vinyl record collection of a single title, and it happens to be the Victor Young score of Around the World in 80 Days. This is the original Decca pressing from 1956, mono, and this is what started it all. And the record looks like that. And of course, where there is mono, there is stereo. Here's the original cover in full stereo, it says. Same music, same orchestra, same incredible score by Victor Young. And this is on Decca, full stereo, and here is what that record looks like. Later on, when MCA took over Decca Records, at least in the United States, they reissued the soundtrack again on the MCA label. Same music, same everything. And this is what that label looked like. Very colorful MCA label. Here's one of my favorite versions. The tonal quality of this record is incredible. It looks like you've seen the cover before so far, but you will notice where the Decca label brand is on the right, because this is a foreign pressing. On the American pressing, it was on the left. And this one happens to be from Japan. Very flimsy cover. I don't know if you can read that. If you're Japanese, good luck. If you're not, have a nice day. This is, again, the soundtrack printed in Japanese and obviously from Japan. And the record label looks just like that. Okay, now we're going to get into some budget label ripoffs. Nice picture, though. Michael Todd's Around the World in 80 Days. The great music of Victor Young on the Crown record label. What I like about this one, though, especially, red vinyl. Watch out. Here's that label. I always thought the specialty record label was for R&B and Little Richard and his contemporaries. But here's Around the World in 80 Days in jazz on the specialty record label. And by the way, the one thing you'll notice when you see these albums a lot is the balloon ascension. In the book, there is no balloon ascension. And most of the albums you see have balloon travel on the covers. But keep in mind, it never appeared in the book, only in the movie. And here is specialty record label. Here's another budget label version. This is on the Waldorf music label. And somehow or other, it got tied in with TWA, somehow. But you'll notice on the cover, there's a lot of anomalies that have nothing to do with the book, nothing to do with the movie. There was a bullfight scene in the movie. There was none in the book. They never saw the pyramids, and they were nowhere near the Taj Mahal. But I guess they wanted a pretty cover for this budget label, Waldorf Music. And here is the label. This one is terrible. This is called Liebert Takes Broadway, including Around the World in 80 Days on the Westminster Hi-Fi stereo label. Pretty cover, though, and terrible music. Mr. Liebert, or Liebert, if you will, it's all organ music, but it's not cool like cheese organ, like 96 Tears kind of organ. It's more like roller rink organ versions, and it's really, really bad. Pretty cover, though, and this is what the record label looks like. So, here is a budget label that really is a budget label. They didn't have enough rights or musicianship to do an entire album, so they combined two different popular movies of that day together, Around the World in 80 Days and My Fair Lady on the B-side. If you look down, and this is, by the way, the ever-popular Warren Everett Vinson conducting the Royal Farnsworth Orchestra. Yes, Farnsworth. You'll notice at the bottom left, you start to see the emblem, the design of a record label, a really bad budget record label called Design Records. But I guess Design was always in mono. This happened to be the Stereo Spectrum version, and as a result, they put it on the Stereo Spectrum label. And that label looks just like this. Farnsworth. Even this one looks like a legitimate release on Decca. It's actually an aftermarket budget label. Earlier we saw one on Crown. This is a reissue on the Crown label with a different cover, and beautiful picture, though. I like it. And this is what that label looks like. After the soundtrack album, I guess, had run its course, someone had the bright idea of, say, let's put lyrics to Victor Young's incredible music from the score. So this was produced by Michael Todd Jr., his dad, Michael Todd, the one-hit wonder of Academy Awards. He only made one movie, Around the World in 80 Days, and won Best Picture of the Year, and then he was tragically killed in a plane crash. But his son, Michael Todd Jr., commissioned this to be done, putting lyrics to the musical score by Victor Young, and this is on the Everest record label. And here is the label for your viewing pleasure. Of course, what would any budget label essay be without including the great Tops record label? And this is Lou Raymond and the big band, or the big orchestra, doing Victor Young's score. This is actually a clip from the movie, the cover. And again, no balloon ascension in the book, only in the movie. Tops Records. And here's what it looks like. It's Tops. Now, this very op art 1960s Batman-looking cover is actually not the music from the score. It's actors, thespians, performing a very, very abridged version of the actual book. And you'll notice the Batman like splat and blam and zip and pow and all of that. The actors are not identified, and it is on the Adventure label. And it looks just like this. Adventure. Here's another budget label version. This is music from Michael Todd's Around the World in 80 Days, by Carlton Miller and his orchestra. And this one, at least, they had the nerve to take actual frames from the movie and included on their cover. This is on the Golden Tone record label, and it is anything but a golden tone. And again, keep in mind, and by the way, you may have noticed I stopped the music in the background. Even I was getting sick of it. But you'll notice again, the key image in the pictures is the balloon ascension, which was only a part of the movie, never in the book. And this is what the Golden Tone label looks like. Now, the basement of budget labels, Bravo, with the word stereo embossed on the cover. And again, this is one of those 2-for-1 special LPs where the big words on the cover say "Around the World in 80 Days," and they show the balloon ascension. And on the flip side, in small lettering, is the score from The King and I. And again, pretty cover. And on the Bravo record label, no orchestra, by the way, or band or musicians of any kind are credited on this little epic. And that's what the label looks like. Bravo. Bravissimo. This one with a little bit of class to it. This is Enoch Light and the orchestra, and a lot of strange and inconsistent images on the cover here. They never went to Africa. And again, the balloon ascension. This is on the Grand Awards stereophonic disc record label. Enoch Light and his orchestra. And the label looks like that. When I first saw this one, I thought it was a picture disc in a cardboard sleeve. It's not. That's just the cover you're looking at. That is a frame from the movie, from the real movie, with David Niven and Cantinflas in the basket of the balloon that never took off in the book. And this is by Gordon Fleming and the big orchestra on the Craftsman Hi-Fi label. And that label looks like this. Craftsman. Hey, this is a 10-incher by the great Ira Wright and his orchestra. And Around the World in 80 Days score, stereophonic, on the Rondolette label. So if the 12-inch was on Rondo, maybe because this is a diminutive size, it is now Rondolette. And the label looks like this. Rondolette, hero of song and story, Rondolette. I showed you this one before. This one was the Royal Farnsworth Orchestra, a combination of Around the World in 80 Days and My Fair Lady. Here is another version of that combo, and this is Around the World in 80 Days and My Fair Lady, and but a different orchestra, so they say. Ha ha. And this is on the Rondo, the Amazing Rondo record label, and this is by Johnny, what does that say? Johnny Gregory and the London Orchestra. And here's what that very bright yellow label looks like. Now, I showed you this one earlier. This is a pressing on the Crown record label, and you'll notice their logo is up in that corner, and this is in beautiful mono. They again reissued it. The Crown people never gave up. This is the same cover, But in the corner, it says stereo, and the Crown logo is on the left. And this one's sealed, so I'm not going to show you the record. Parade Records was another label that should have been taken to the woodshed on many occasions. This is their version of Around the World in 80 Days, music by Victor Young, and mono, and no orchestra, band, arranger, nothing listed anywhere on the cover on the long-forgotten Parade label. And this is what that looks like to etch into your memories. This is Around the World in 80 Days, a children's version, a big abridgment of the original book, and softened up a little bit for the kiddies. And this is on the Happy Times record label, and very colorful, though. I like this cover, very cool. And it has this "We Are the World" kind of motif here on Happy Times. And that's what this record label looks like. Selected readings, abridgments of the novel Around the World in 80 Days by Jules Verne, read by the great actor Christopher Plummer. And this is on the Cadmian record label. And it is sealed. So again, you don't get to see the record. You can't see the record. And just when you think you've heard all the jazz variations in the world, here comes Bud Lavin's quartet with jazz variations on Victor Young's Around the World in 80 Days. And this is okay. It's not a bad record, but the album cover is very weird. Obviously, it has the globe going around the world, a violin, a keyboard, saxophone, and for some reason, a salt and pepper shaker. I don't know why. And this is on the Vantage record label. And here is an opportunity, to take advantage of the Vantage. And if you've ever wondered whatever happened to the Hollywood Transcription Orchestra, here they are, alive and well, on the Master Seal label. They don't even have the courage to put up a frame from the movie. This is a rather colorful but inept artist rendition of a scene, and it is on the Master Seal label. And here is what that, and living mono, by the way, and here is what that label looks like. Probably one of the founding fathers or grandfathers of budget record labels was the great Spinorama label. Here is a actual clip or a frame from the movie where the balloon ascension is flying over the Maritime Alps in the south of France. And Victor Young's music, no orchestra, band, instrumentalists, nothing mentioned as far as the talent on this record on Spinorama. This is the complete novel, Around the World in 80 Days, by Jules Verne. The complete novel, read on multiple discs. This is a box set, I guess you would call it. And it is 16 RPM. And I've played it, and it's boring. And this is on the, what label is this? Listening Library box set, 16 RPM, and that label looks like this. Yes, 16 RPM. Here is the genuine original motion picture studio orchestra in music from Around the World in 80 Days. Oddly enough, and this is on the Unart record label, and oddly enough, they had to do a facsimile image, poorly drawn, of the balloon ascension on the cover, but on the back, they actually had frames from the motion picture itself. Go figure, who knew? And this is on the Unart record label, which looks like that. I showed you this one before, Around the World in 80 Days, on the Waldorf Music label, and all of the anomalies that don't make any sense at all. But for those who only had small record players and turntables, they issued a 10-inch version, like a little baby, and obviously not as many tracks, and just as inept for performance. On the Waldorf Music label, 10-inch. And that's what this looks like right there. Oh, isn't it cute? Home stretch. This is the Hollywood Orchestra. No other description, no other artist information given about them. On a rather crudely drawn cover on the Valiant Dual Dynamic stereo label. And it is what it is, baby. And here's what that label looks like. Valiant. Up at a local record shop, and I thought, hey, it's the score and a different cover, and I've never seen this before. I don't see a label listed anywhere on the cover, so just in a hurry, I picked it up, took it home, only to find out it's not a record. It's this gigantic Laserdisc thing, which I have no idea how to play. I don't have a player for it, but that's what that looks like. Makes a great mirror, though. Hi. Hello. Very colorful lights, too. Hey. It's like a trip. And finally, yay, he's almost done. Yay. Finally, this is the first LP of Victor Young's score, Around the World in 80 Days, that I ever owned. And this was by the Studio Sound Orchestra. Long may they wave. And this was on the Somerset label, the nice orange label that looks like that. So, this is the end of the vinyl LPs for Around the World in 80 Days. I'm going to make a second video with 7-inch records, 45s, 10-inch 78s. And if you live through this one, you might find that one entertaining as well. And that'll be coming up in just a little while, once I take a whole bottle of aspirin to relieve the headache from making this one. No, just kidding. Take care. There'll be a second version of Around the World in 80 Days, world's largest collection of a single title, and that'll be coming shortly. And until then, stay safe, stay happy, and rock on, baby.